Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a review of a review. The Gentleman's Rebuttal with your host, Karlifornia. Hello everyone and welcome to the Slam Society. I'm Karlifornia. Great to be with you all once again, and welcome to the debut edition here of The Gentleman's Rebuttal, a review of a review with Karlifornia. This is almost like doing a reaction video of somebody reacting to something. It's a little silly, but I thought this might be something different, you know, because I've seen over the last few years that the divide between wrestling fans and wrestling critics alike, it's been growing more and more, and the anger spouted back and forth between both opposing opinions has been quite disheartening to see. It's become quite toxic. There are people out there that specifically put out tweets to I guess goad people into reacting angrily, troll accounts, etc. But there are actual people out there that actually try and give an opinion on something, and it's their honest opinion, and they get attacked for those opinions. And I saw something happen yesterday on Twitter in regards to SummerSlam 2024, which happened this past weekend, and I noticed there was a lot of hate being thrown at one particular man. His name is Suit Williams, and he writes for Voices. Is it Voices of Wrestling? Voices of Wrestling, and you can find them at Voices Wrestling. And I believe he also does a column for the Wrestling Observer. And first things first, Suit, I hope you're watching this. I think anyone whose name is Suit Williams, they can't be a bad guy. Come on. So that's who he is. He does reviews for different websites, and he did a SummerSlam review. And this is the tweet that got a lot of attention. It might not look like it was a lot of attention, you know. The screen grab I got here says 164 likes, 36 retweets, 46 comments, but it caught my eye. Maybe this isn't a viral thing, but it caught my eye because he had said a terrible show with fans that enjoy it for reasons beyond my understanding. I forgot to get some screen grabs of the responses to him, but a lot of people responded angrily to him. And it, of course, once again, went down that same old fucking road where people are name calling and being like quite rude and cruel. And it made me come up with this idea here to rebuttal Suit Williams and his review of SummerSlam 2004, but do it in a gentlemanly way so that maybe we can, I don't know, bridge the gap of this divide between opposing opinionated wrestling fans and critics, right? That's my attempt here today, because maybe, just maybe, if we have an open, honest discussion and we're just nice about it, maybe we can come to some sort of understanding about things that we don't seem to understand, just like how Suit has said, fans that enjoy it for reasons beyond my understanding. Maybe I can pass on some understanding to you, Mr. Williams. Okay? So it's voicesofwrestling.com. I would implore anyone watching this, if you haven't read his review with another guy called Sean, they both kind of chime in one after another on each match. I would implore you to check it out, voicesofwrestling.com. I'll have the link in the description so you can check it out. Read it first, then come back to this point in time in the video. So, okay, to give some context here, I enjoyed SummerSlam. I actually gave it a 9 out of 10. And it appears that Suit and his friend Sean have said it was an awful show, or so a terrible show is the quote that I've got there. Okay, so I'm going to start this off here. So quoting Suit Williams here. Oh no, I missed another Triple H appearance and a performance by Jelly Roll. I'll find a way to survive. So we got some sarcasm to start off. And look, I'm guilty of this too. But let's be honest, you're going in negative already. But I'm guilty of this too, you know, especially when I open up a video of whatever PLE I'm watching or pay-per-view and see it being in excess of 4 hours in length. I'm in a bad mood immediately. But I think if this is how you open the review, you've set the tone. Okay, we know what's coming from you here. We get to the first matchup, and Suits thoughts on Liv Morgan taking on Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. So if you've read, I'm sure you've read the review from him now, but you know, I'll pop some screen grabs up on the screen here. He said that it was preposterous that Rhea would slam her shoulder into the ring announcer's table in order to relocate her dislocated shoulder. Now look, I'm not sure that it's necessarily, excuse me, preposterous that she slammed her arm into the desk, but we do have to at some point understand that this is a performance, right? This is a performance. We're watching two people pretend to fight one another. If this were real, if somebody did this for real, they would likely cause more damage to themselves. They would likely not relocate their shoulder. They would actually need somebody to help them do it. There are many different ways people can relocate a shoulder, but we have to remember this is within the confines of a wrestling match and a story within a wrestling match. So we can't be having the trainer come out there, running out there to pop it back in. We need Rhea to show that she's a badass and that she's going to do whatever she can to get her shoulder back in place. Now, they added the shoulder issues at play here because it helps the smaller Liv Morgan be able to get heat on the physically superior Rhea Ripley. So they still have to think about this being realistic in that sense, because when you look at Rhea and you compare her to Liv Morgan, you would imagine Rhea Ripley would tear her to shreds. But I did find your review here, Suit, of this match to be a clear sign that perhaps you need a break from covering any WWE PLE. If you're going to say things like, I don't care about any of these people, I don't care about Mommy getting her revenge on these two schmucks. The crowd didn't seem to care either until Dom got involved. This sucked. Oh, dude, that's harsh, man. I watched the same match you did, and I felt like the crowd were into the match. I thought that they were popping for the inclusion of Dominic at certain stages of the match. Yes, we are entitled to our opinions, but I feel like your opinion of this match and how the performers performed was already set in stone before the match began. I don't think you were going to like anything that they did, no matter what they did. I found it to be entertaining myself, and the angle played out and paid off. And now we have a dangerous woman scorned. To say this sucked when I don't think it sucked. I don't think, you know, I think it's definitely going to get a strong reaction from people when you say things like that. Like when you say you don't care about all three of these performers, and like Liv Morgan and Dominic are schmucks. Like what? Like how do you not like Liv Morgan? Everyone likes Liv Morgan. Dominic is very entertaining as a heel. Rhea Ripley's very popular. To me, it kind of is crazy to me. But yes, it's definitely going to get a strong reaction from people because I felt like a lot of people were quite entertained by this matchup and the story within the matchup. Anyway, let's move forward here. I don't want this to go on too long. We get to Bron versus Sammy. And I agree with you, Suit Williams. I personally did not want Bron to lose at the last PLE either. But I think fans get a little too hung up at times when somebody loses a match and that they're getting buried. I think Bron losing tells a story of somebody on a clear trajectory that can slip up from time to time even when expected to clear a hurdle first time out of the blocks. Now, if you think about it, would people be complaining because, oh, well, I mean, we expected Bron to win, so like that's just boring. Like it's almost like it doesn't matter what you do, people are going to be angry anyway. Oh, they buried Sami Zayn, or like it doesn't matter what you do, people will always find some fault in it, which I understand. But these kinds of stories are prevalent throughout the world. And I could give an example. Remember when Brock Lesnar lost to Frank Mir in the UFC? Everybody thought he was going to destroy Frank. He slipped up, though. He got caught and he had to tap out. And that's just a story that happens throughout our lifetimes, in many different disciplines and sports and even like in workplaces and all that. People can slip up when they're expected to perform. I felt your review of this match came across begrudgingly complimentary because you couldn't just give it a straight up compliment without backhanding it, which I would say again, maybe you need a break from WWE. The next matchup, LA Knight. Yeah. Look, I find that really irritating, I'll be honest with you. Takes on Logan Paul here for the United States Championship. Here we go. So to quote Suit Williams here, Logan Paul came out with Machine Gun Kelly, a man who got publicly bullied out of hip hop by a washed Eminem. And I'm like, oh, okay, now you've hit a chord with me. No one is going to besmirch the good name that is Eminem, okay? I'm a big Slim Shady fan. But to call him washed, dude, okay? And quick sidebar, I don't even know how to address this, but Eminem's last 10 albums went to #1. And the album before that, the Slim Shady LP, actually went to #2. And the first album, Infinite, obviously did not chart. But that was quite some time ago. I think that's no. Now you've crossed the line. Look, each their own. If you don't think he's good anymore, fine. But anyway, back to the wrestling. This match was fine, as both Knight and Paul are acceptable pro wrestlers. For Paul, it's a compliment in his short career. For Knight, it's more of an indictment. Oh, man, you're really harsh. I find acceptable pro wrestlers to come across very passive aggressive. I don't agree with your assessment on LA Knight's in-ring abilities. I think the man is very, very good at what he does. But I think, again, as fans, we tend to get on a high horse on what we think is a great pro wrestler. Because like he did that thing where he hopped from the second rope to the top rope and then he did the elbow drop. I'm like, how did he do that without fucking up? Like, there's no way. Like, if I did that, I would break my leg somehow. And I want to tell a quick story. I used to be a professional wrestler here in Australia, and I believe it was 2014. I wrestled on the same show as Shelton Benjamin, and Shelton Benjamin was cutting a promo backstage for the show. And I was like, oh, this will be interesting. Like, I don't, Shelton's not known for his promo skills. And he cut like the sickest, dopest fucking promo that I'd ever seen, someone pull in person. And he did it off the cuff. And he got a round of applause from all the boys in the back. And it just goes to show, like, I thought Shelton Benjamin was no good on the mic, but then when I actually like witnessed him in person doing it, playing his craft, showing what he can do, maybe we never got shown what he could really do in WWE in his career or anywhere else. But he got to shine, and I thought he did tremendous, and it changed my mind on his promo skills. Just like I think if you saw LA Knight in person and maybe like sat there and watch him training some trainees or something like that, maybe you might change your mind and be like, oh, actually, he's pretty good. Because that's happened to me before heaps of times. I've thought someone's been not that great, and then I've seen them in the ring training other wrestlers, and I'm like, actually, he's smooth as silk. Anyway, let's move forward. You went to give Logan Paul a compliment on his springboard moonsault, but you couldn't do it without giving the rub to El Phantasmo, a guy that barely any WWE fan who's reading your review will have a clue about. I know who he is because I've done about 176 reviews of pay-per-views. That's not even including weekly television on my YouTube channel. So I've covered a lot of different wrestling companies. But again, like just give Logan the compliment. We don't need to talk about other people. That's just me. That's just me. Coming up next, Nia Jax versus Bailey. Okay. Um, Now, again, I wouldn't, as a reviewer, start off by immediately discrediting Nia Jax. I just wouldn't do that. Because I believe you said, are we still doing this with Nia or something along those lines? Um, you called the match a snoozer. I'd say it got off to a slow start. Or the heat wasn't there for me. There's ways to say this that don't come across so um I don't know. How do I describe that? How do I describe you calling it a snoozer? Like it's not rude, but it's a little on the nose, you know what I mean? Like you could just say you got off to a bit of a slow start. Don't feel like these two had much chemistry. The heat wasn't there for me. There's ways that you can, utilize the English language that is not going to immediately kind of alienate anyone who's like a WWE fan. They want to know your analysis. They want to know why you feel this way. They don't want to just see you shit on a product. They want to know why, right? And I'm going to get to that stuff soon. And again, I'm trying not to make this go too long, but I have a habit of talking too much. Um, there are more constructive ways to review a match, is what I'm trying to say. I think Nia has done the best work of her career in 2024. Her match with Rhea in my city, Perth, Western Australia, the Queen of the Ring, and now this. I think credit goes where it's due sometimes. We have to also take into account that Nia Jax is a big girl and obviously not the most athletic, but for somebody her size, she does pretty good, I think. Um, Sometimes we need to put things on their own merits. I don't expect Satnam Singh to do shit, but I'm not going to say he was terrible in the ring. He wrestles the way I expect him to wrestle. Um, did I think this was the best match of the show? No, but like your co-writer Sean said, just an abysmal affair from start to finish. I would like you guys to consider constructive feedback. Seeing people actively shit on something they weren't chuffed with and not offering alternative ideas or thoughts doesn't do a lot for the reader. Just a bit of advice from yours truly, who's been doing this for some time. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Here we go. This is going to get interesting here. Suit Williams said, CM Punk does not work in this company. All the good work he has done in building this feud up was almost entirely undone by this terribly formatted match where Punk allowed a fucking friendship bracelet to cost him a match in this blood feud. Instead of Punk and McIntyre having the match they could have had, they had to get the story across to everyone's detriment. Do you know what company you're watching? It's WWE. In 1988, they had a storyline with Jake Roberts and Rick Rude, and having Jake's wife's face spray painted onto, or sorry, airbrushed onto his underwear, whatever it was. Okay. Like there's always been stories in wrestling. Hogan, Savage, and Miss Elizabeth. Hogan picks up Miss Elizabeth, and Savage gets annoyed about it. There's always story involved in WWE things. So we know this company, we know what they're all about. And I only gave those two examples because they were from the first SummerSlam in '88, right? This is the thing, right? If there was something that was given to me that meant something to me, that had something to do with like a loved one, um, there's a good to fair chance because I care about my possessions. I love my possessions, and if I have a possession that has meaning, like it upsets me if I don't have it, or if I can't find it, or if I've lost it. I remember my brother got me a ring, and there was nothing special about this ring. It was just a silver ring, and I lost it, and I don't know where it went. And this must have been like 21 years ago or 20 years ago, and it still upsets me. Okay, that might not be a good example in comparison to Punk being distracted by a bracelet, but this is the story we're telling here. He's disrespected Punk. He's taken something away from him that means something to him because it's something to do with his wife and his dog. We know this company, we know the types of stories that they tell. Okay. I understand this is supposed to be a blood feud, but we have the distraction of Seth Rollins out there. This is like a three-way story at the moment, which I'm sure will end in a triple threat match at the next PLE, maybe. Um, but this is the way that this is the road that they went down, and I don't necessarily think it was that bad. When the Anaconda Vice was locked in, I thought that was very good because he spotted the bracelet. I thought that was fantastic. Now, maybe he should have hit the GTS when he spotted the bracelet on Seth's wrist. I think he should have hit the GTS, then noticed the bracelet on the wrist, and instead of like arguing with Seth, just asking him to give it back. There, I've offered a suggestion that kind of fixes it slightly. Because if it were me, I probably wouldn't have had the bracelet be a part of it at all. But that's what happened. So now I'm offering an alternative idea that kind of makes it less annoying for you. Because, yeah, you know what? Why would he drop him when he's up for the GTS? Just hit the fucking move. It's just a bracelet. I understand that. But at the same time, I think he could have noticed it afterward and he could have, the discussion and getting it back could have given Drew enough time to get back up. I mean, come on. Okay, now here's the bad bit. This is bad. Okay, this is really bad. Um, my opinion. He says Punk is so far above this kindergarten company, but because he is who he is, he's burned his bridges and is stuck here. So you're a CM Punk fan. It's such a waste of it's a waste of the twilight of an incredible wrestler's career and a waste of everyone's time. I just wish he went home after the Samoa Joe match in Wembley last year because this match showed me that there's no rising above this shitty company's house style, even for an all-time great like Punk. McIntyre won with the Claymore. That's that's harsh, bro. um, I don't think that this is helpful. I don't think this is giving constructive criticism, giving feedback that helps us understand where you're coming from. You just all we know is that you didn't like it on a high level. Sean said Punk was so obsessed with this stupid fucking bracelet, you know, your wife can always make you another one, that it caused him to throw all sense and logic totally out of the window. Again, if you're going to tell us about logic and sense, then obviously you know what the right thing would have been to do, right? So I would like to know what would have made logic and sense as opposed to you just saying that this didn't make sense. You know, tell us what would have made sense then, please. This is what you're supposed to do as a reviewer. As far as I'm concerned, look, I don't like AEW, but I give quite a constructive criticism and ideas on what could have been done differently, right? Gunther versus Damian Priest. And again, we're now getting 20 minutes into this. I'll try and make this a little bit quicker. So to quote again, these two are trying to do the matches that Gunther has done with Ilya Dragunov and Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, where they beat the hell out of each other for 20 minutes to get the crowd alive. The problem is that I've watched those men and I've loved those matches, and Damian Priest is no Ilya Dragunov or Drew McIntyre or Sheamus. He's just not that level of worker. He doesn't inspire that level of crowd investment. So instead of this being a great match, it was just fine. So like when I read stuff like this and I've been in the ring and I have wrestled and I don't know if you've wrestled, it's stuff like this that I get irritated by. But again, I'm going to be a gentleman. Uh, I see nothing wrong with Damian Priest's in-ring abilities. I think he hung in there with Gunther very well, just like The Miz did. And people probably thought that The Miz wouldn't be a worker that would be able to match Gunther's level. I understand Gunther's, acumen in the ring. I understand Ilya Dragunov is very good, but Damian Priest has got the character down so far on the main roster in the role that he's got. And I think his reign, at the beginning, it's kind of a rough road for him because, we got to get some legitimacy out of a guy that hasn't been fully portrayed as a top guy, for the pretense of the title win. We're not seeing him get to like the final four of the Rumble kind of thing. And if he did and I forgot that, then my bad. But I think he showed something here. I really like the kickboxing stuff he did in this match. Um, and again, I really enjoyed the finish here. Gunther choked him out to win the match and the title, which wasn't as important as Finn Balor turning heel, even though he was already a heel. I need this show to end. No, he's just turned Damian Priest babyface. He has turned him babyface. Like I heard someone say, like Dominic's turned heel when he's already a heel, so now he's just even more of a heel. That's kind of what's happened here with Finn Balor. Um, things don't need to be so black and white. You know what I mean? People can't just only turn from heel to babyface. Like heels can still turn on their friend. They don't need to be a babyface to do the turn. They can just still be a bastard that they've been this whole time. Like that's what I'm trying to get across to you. And I'm sorry that I use my hands a lot, but I'm half Italian. So that's and I hope you listen to that, and I hope that makes you think to yourself, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like he's just continuing to be an asshole. And now we're going to get behind Damien. But I think you need to stop covering WWE for a while anyway. You aren't giving any insight here that is helping people understand how you feel, in the sense of you aren't coming up with an idea on how to do it differently. It's okay to give criticism, of course, but if you give it, you better have an idea on how to improve it. Otherwise, I don't think you're doing your job properly, and you're opening yourself up to harsh criticism from people with opposing opinions. Cody versus Solo. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Thank you for sticking with me if you've watched this whole thing. Okay, here we go. Suit Williams' quote here. No one cared about anything that happened here, nor should they have. The company told them that the match wouldn't end until the Royal Rumble conga line of interference started. It was bad when WCW did it, and fans were looking at the entrance stage when Nitro main event started. I remember that. I do remember that. But it's good now because the good company is doing it. And let's be clear, Solo and Cody weren't exactly Shawn and Taker out there. This was boring, house show level heel work from Solo that Cody could only do so much with. So, okay. To respond to this comment, we know what a Bloodline Rules match is now. Like we know that it's about the interference. So we're aware of this going into it. And I understand you don't like interferences, right? But I think your dislike of WWE, even if you gave that backlash you could reviewed last year or whatever, I think it's clouding you having any chance of enjoying it. After 15 minutes, Cody hit the crossroads, which was your signal that the bullshit was commencing soon. Or maybe we could look at it a different way. Maybe it makes sense that Cody hits his finisher, because if this were real, Solo would say to them, if I look like I'm in trouble, like if he hits the crossroads, that's when you should come out. Make sure I don't lose this match, please. That's probably the signal. If he hits me with that fucking thing, that's your cue to come out, boys. Cody getting saved by Roman is definitely a sign of who the real top guy is. Believe what you want. It's changed now. It's not just Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Austin, Rock, top guy, one guy at the top, Cena. There's a whole list of people that are just at the top now. There's plenty of room there too. We don't have to keep worrying that Cody's not really he's never going to be Roman Reigns. But he's selling enough merch right now that we can consider them all top guys, okay? We should not worry about that so much. Anyway, they got to the conclusion the fans wanted, but this was long and bad and dumb. So, so what the fans wanted was long and bad and dumb. That's what they wanted. Solo couldn't be less of a guy as he's already been overshadowed by Jacob Fatu in his own subunit. Much like last year with main event Jey Uso, this felt like a test that Solo failed with flying colors. That's not fair. That is so not fair, dude. Come on. He worked his fucking ass off out there. I don't know where you come from with that. Like, I think you just really didn't want to like it and you just made sure you didn't like it. But again, where are your suggestions on what to do better? Then the run-ins happened, which suck in AEW, suck in New Japan, suck in WCW, and suck here. An awful main event to an awful show. Someone's hungry. Someone's got an empty stomach or something. That's what it feels like anyway. Like you're just crabby and it doesn't matter what anything or whatever happens or, you know, whatever it is that you see, you're gonna hate on it. I get like that too, man. Right? An awful main event to an awful show. That is so incorrect as far as I'm concerned, my opinion. Um, Interferences are annoying. They are annoying. But again, let's think of something else and then let the world know what your idea is on how to improve it. If it's not working for you, then tell us what would happen to make it work for you. What needs to happen for it to work for you? I feel like a broken record repeating this like I always do at the end of these major WWE events. So it's confirmation, proof in the pudding. But this company is and will continue to not be for us. So if this is, if you mean us as in like the Voices of Wrestling website, okay. If you didn't watch this show, don't bother. If you did watch it, my condolences. Dud. Wow. Come on, man. Come on. I think you're doing yourselves a disservice covering WWE if you aren't going to do what reviewers are supposed to do. I know your website's fan base may follow other styles of pro wrestling and prefer that. I don't particularly like AEW, but I would never tell people not to watch AEW. I would tell them to watch it. I would never actively tell them not to bother. I don't think that's helping at all. So look, there we have it. That's my rebuttal. That's the gentleman's rebuttal, a review of a review here on the Slam Society, where I checked out Suit Williams and his friend Sean. I didn't write his surname down. From voicesofwrestling.com. Please check them out. And you can find Suit Williams at Suit Williams. Do not send him hate. Ask him questions. Talk to him. Try to understand why he feels the way he feels. I understand the reason why he feels the way he feels. Absolutely. But again, I tried to kind of explain things from the opposing opinion side without being rude, without name calling, but just being a gentleman. So, Suit, I hope you enjoyed this, and I would love to get any sort of feedback on it and see how you feel on my thoughts, on your thoughts. So, till next time, thank you all for joining us here on the Slam Society. Please check us out on all platforms, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.